Welcome back to my channel where we break down the stories that matter most to you, and tonight we're diving into an important issue that affects thousands of people every single day: the often misunderstood rules surrounding blue badge parking and the places where even a valid badge won't protect you from fines. Many drivers and passengers assume that displaying a blue badge means unrestricted parking anywhere they go, but the reality is far more detailed and, if ignored, can quickly lead to unexpected penalties. So in today's full report, we're taking a complete look at where blue badge holders can park, where they absolutely cannot, and the rules that must be followed at all times. For anyone living with mobility issues, long-term physical or mental health conditions, neurological challenges such as Parkinson's, dementia or autism, or other difficulties that affect walking, the blue badge system is meant to make everyday travel more manageable by allowing people to park closer to essential destinations. This scheme supports independence for thousands across Scotland and the wider UK, offering easier access to shops, workplaces, healthcare appointments, and community spaces. But while a blue badge offers generous parking concessions, it is not a universal pass that overrides all restrictions. In fact, there are at least 11 locations where badge holders cannot park at any hour of the day or night, and being aware of those limitations is essential for staying compliant and avoiding costly mistakes. To understand the rules clearly, let's begin with what the blue badge does allow. When used correctly and displayed clearly on the dashboard, the badge grants free parking with no time limit at on-street parking meters, pay and display bays, designated disabled bays, and even along single or double yellow lines, provided that no loading restrictions are present and the vehicle is not causing a hazard. Transport Scotland emphasises that although yellow line parking is permitted in many circumstances, users should prioritise marked bays whenever possible, because parking on yellow lines should only happen when absolutely necessary and when the vehicle does not block pavements, traffic flow, or access points for other road users. Displaying the badge properly is crucial. It must sit flat on the dashboard, easily readable through the windscreen, and positioned with the front facing outward while the photo remains hidden. Incorrect display is one of the most common reasons badge holders receive fines, often simply because the badge has slipped, been placed upside down, or is not visible enough. Now, let's turn to the part that surprises many people: the specific places where blue badge holders cannot park at any time. These 11 restrictions apply 24/7, without exception. First, parking in loading or unloading bays is prohibited unless signage clearly indicates designated times for badge holders. Second, you cannot stop on single or double red lines during their operational hours, as red routes are strictly enforced to ensure smooth traffic flow. Third, any location with one or two yellow curb markings signals a loading ban, meaning blue badge users must avoid it completely. Fourth, double white lines in the center of the road even when one of the lines is broken come with an absolute no stopping rule. Fifth, spaces reserved for specific groups, such as resident-only bays or taxi ranks, cannot be used by badge holders regardless of circumstances. Sixth, pedestrian crossings, including the zigzag lines on both sides, are entirely off limits for parking or stopping. Seventh, clearways and no stopping areas, including bus stop clearways and urban clearways, remain restricted during their posted hours. Eighth, school keep clear areas must never be used while their no stopping times apply. Ninth, bus, tram and cycle lanes are completely forbidden, not just for parking but also for driving through, because the blue badge does not permit entry into restricted lanes. 10th, suspended parking meter bays or areas where the meter is temporarily out of use are unavailable to everyone, including badge holders. And finally, temporary restrictions such as those established during roadworks or marked by no waiting cones must be followed at all times. It's also important to remember that not all disabled parking signs mean automatic access. Some spaces are reserved for very specific categories of users, such as certain local council permits or hospital permits, and displaying a standard blue badge in these bays could result in a fine. Many badge holders may not realize that even though the law allows them to park on yellow lines in some situations, common sense and safety should always come first. Blocking a pavement ramp, obstructing a narrow road, or preventing emergency vehicle access can have serious consequences. If possible, always choose bays that are clearly marked for disabled parking. Additionally, planning your journey in advance can make a huge difference. Apps and online maps now provide information about disabled parking availability, local restrictions, and even temporary closures, helping to prevent stressful situations when you arrive at your destination. Simple steps like checking signs, leaving extra time to park safely, and using the badge correctly every time are small measures that can save a lot of frustration, fines, and even legal trouble. To help avoid frustration or unexpected fines, there are several practical tips every Blue Badge user should know. If you aren't getting out of the vehicle, you should not use the badge simply to obtain a convenient parking space. If you're traveling as a passenger, someone may use the badge to drop you off or collect you, but if the driver remains in the vehicle, the badge must be removed and the car must move to a regular parking spot. Always check the area for time limits or additional restrictions and keep a parking clock handy for places where one is required. And remember, while it is usually permitted to stop on yellow lines, doing so is only acceptable when it does not endanger pedestrians, block access for wheelchair users, obstruct driveways, or create traffic issues. Enforcement officers can still issue a fine under such circumstances, and if the obstruction is severe, the vehicle may even be removed. Many local authorities now rely heavily on digital enforcement systems, meaning violations are caught even if an officer is never physically present. With technology constantly improving, badge holders must be more cautious than ever before. Some towns even change rules during special events, meaning the same road can have different restrictions from one week to the next, and that's why checking street signs is always essential. Alongside these practical guidelines, there are 10 essential rules that every Blue Badge holder must follow, because failing to comply is a criminal offense. The badge can only be used when you are traveling as the driver or the passenger. It is never to be lent out or shared. No one else is allowed to use your badge unless you are physically present in the vehicle. The badge must always be displayed clearly and the correct way up, with the expiry date visible and the photograph concealed. It is the badge holder's responsibility to apply for a new badge before the current one expires, and if the badge becomes damaged, faded, or difficult to read, a replacement must be requested. If a badge is lost or stolen, the incident must be reported both to the police and your local council so a new one can be issued. And at every destination, badge holders must check signage carefully, because parking rules not only vary by town, but sometimes even by individual street. Understanding these rules is not only the key to avoiding fines, it's also a way to preserve a system that genuinely supports people with disabilities. The Blue Badge scheme exists to provide safe and accessible parking for those who need it most, and misuse of the badge, whether intentional or accidental, can undermine trust in the system and reduce access for people who rely on it daily. So staying informed and following the guidelines ensures fairness, safety, and accessibility for everyone on the road. And with that, we've reached the end of today's full breakdown of the Blue Badge rules you must know before parking. If this helped you or cleared up questions you've had, make sure to join us for more helpful updates and important guides in future videos. And before you head off, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Your support means everything and helps us keep bringing clear, reliable, and accessible content straight to you.